Get going live. Okay. Um. Can you see? Uh. Check the link. Like check the channel and tell me if the stream is working. Yeah. All right. Sweet. Okay. All good. All right. Um. Yep. So, just gonna open up the. Can you see that I've brought up a PDF of a book? All right. Okay. Um. I don't. Right. Yep. Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome back welcome to Nest comprehension, which is grammar and reading slash writing. I hope everyone has been staying safe throughout the outbreak, staying home, washing your hands, and all of that stuff. So I don't know how many of you that are watching came to the last session last Saturday, because I gave a handout of a book for everyone to read. But if not, don't worry about it because I'll be showing it through the screen, which you hopefully can see. Um, so I'm going to be reading the first half of chapter one, and then, if anyone has any words that they don't understand, please do just comment it, and I'll try my best to answer all of them. Obviously, there might be a slight delay because this is a stream, but yep. So, chapter one, Where is Crystal? The man in front of me was tall and strong, with thick dark hair. He sat in an expensive chair behind an expensive desk and looked at me with cold gray eyes. He didn't have time to smile. Okay, Marlowe, he said. So you're a private detective. One of the best in Los Angeles, I hear. I have a job for you. I want you to find my wife. Think you can do that? I sat back in my chair and lit a cigarette slowly. Yes, Mr. Kingsley, I said. I think I can do that. How much? $25 a day, half a dollar a mile for my car, and 100 in my hand now before I do anything. He looked at me and I looked back at him and waited. Then he smiled. Okay, Marlowe, you've got the job. But don't talk about it to the police. I have an important job here. He looked around his quiet, expensive office. The hot July sun didn't get into this room. I want to stay in this job and I can't have any trouble with the police. Is your wife in trouble? I asked. I don't know. Perhaps. She sometimes does very stupid things and she has dangerous friends. He gave me a drink and told me the story. I have a house in the mountains, near Puma Point. Crystal went up there in May. She often meets her men friends up there. He looked at me. She has a lot of men friends. You understand? But there was an important dinner down here on June 12th, and Crystal didn't come back for it. So what did you do? Nothing, because of this. He gave me a letter, and I read, I'm leaving you and going to Mexico. I'm going to marry Chris Lavery. Good luck and goodbye. Crystal. I wasn't very unhappy about that, Kingsley said. She can have him and he can have her. Then 2 weeks later, I heard from the Prescott Hotel in San Bernardino. Crystal's car was there, and they wanted money for it. But yesterday I met Lavery here in town. He didn't know anything about Crystal, and he last saw her 2 months ago. So where is she? What happened to her? I thought about it for a minute or two, and then I asked him some questions. We talked for about half an hour. Kingsley gave me a photo of his wife with Chris Lavery. It was a good picture of Lavery, but not very good of the lady. I finished my drink and stood up. Okay, Mr. Kingsley, I'm going to talk to Lavery and then go up to your house in the mountains. My house is at Little Fawn Lake, he told me. A man works for me up there. Bill Chess is his name, and the girl at the telephone desk outside can help you. She knows a lot of my wife's friends. Talk to her, and you can phone me anytime, day or night. Outside Kingsley's office, I looked at the girl at the telephone desk. She was small and pretty, with short red hair and blue eyes. I like redheads. I gave her my best smile. Hi, Blue Eyes, I said. Your boss says you know a lot of people. Tell me about Chris Lavery. Chris Lavery, what do you want to know? Anything. Do you like him? Well, she said, he has a beautiful body. And all the girls like a man with a beautiful body, eh? She laughed. Perhaps, but I know nicer men than Chris Lavery. He knows too many women. We talked for about 10 minutes. Kingsley was right. Redhead knew a lot of people and she liked talking. Perhaps her job wasn't very interesting. I sat on her desk and listened, and smiled into her blue eyes. She smiled back. Then I stood up. Well, I must go. See you again, Blue Eyes. Redhead laughed happily. Anytime, Mr. Marlowe. So I'll stop right there and I'll continue with the second half of the first chapter in tomorrow's live stream. So, um, if anyone has any words you don't understand, please do comment them now. Otherwise, I'll just open up these slides for today. Oh, um, hi. I don't know how to like bring up the YouTube live stream without making it show my screen again and again. Okay, never mind. I'll just carry on. So, um, live stream one, reading The Lady in the Lake, chapter one, models, reading. So, last time, during, before our last session, we touched upon introducing models to you guys. I know that the previous class did this already a little bit, but we're just going to go into depth for it a little bit more. Um, so models, just quick recap. They're auxiliary or helping verbs that show certainty, how sure you are of something; necessity, how much you need something; or possibility, the chance that something will happen. Here are some common models: can, could, may, might, must, shall, should, will, would, and ought to. Um, so, usually you can split models into three different categories. So, you have single concept models, these are models that usually only have one meaning. You'll have double concept models, which are models that will have more than one meaning. So, depending on the way that you use them in a sentence, they could mean different things in different contexts. Um, and then you have models in the past, which are the models with have and past participle added to it. So, we went through single and double concept models the past weekend, but I'm just going to go through them very quickly again for you guys. So, here are a list of some single concept models. So, will, which describes something happening in the future. So, Joe will travel to New York next week. Might indicates a small probability. So, it's a small chance that something will happen. I might move to Canada someday. Should is a recommendation, it's advice. You should go to the doctor. Um, when you think that it's good for someone to do something, then you recommend it to them. You say you should do this or you should do that. Um, ought to is more of a formal recommendation. We ought to know about first aids. So it means the same thing as should, except that it's just more formal. You would use it more in letters, or if you're trying to describe something that's more official. Oh, had better. You use it more of as a warning. So you use had better when you want to say that something has to happen, or else there will be a bad consequence. So, for example, I had better study, or I will fail the test. And then you've got double concept models, which are models with double meanings. So, may, for example, you use it to ask for permission. So, may I come in? May I speak with you? Things like that. But you can also use may to say that there's a good chance that something will happen. So, we may visit Mexico this summer. Um, must indicates a responsibility. So everyone must pay taxes. It's something you have to do, otherwise, there'll be a bad consequence. If you don't pay your taxes, you might get caught. Um, so it's something that you're obligated to do, something you have to do. But you can also use must to make an assumption or a guess. So must is used when you're very sure about your guess. For example, I could say, "Oh, I saw my friend Lisa the other day. She looked really tired. She had a runny nose." I could say, "Oh, she must be sick." That's because I'm making a logical guess, a logical conclusion from what I see, from evidence that I see in front of me. So she didn't arrive. She must be sick, or um, she she didn't smile all day. Something must be wrong. Okay, so the next one is would. So the concept for this is something you used to do in the past. So when I was young, I would play soccer. When I was back home in Indonesia, I would usually go swimming every weekend with my family. Um, so So when you're talking, someone just asked, what's the difference between must and have to? So the difference is um, must has two meanings, while have to just really has one meaning. So you can use must to describe something you have to do, but you can also use must to describe a guess. So, for example, the second one here, assumption, she didn't arrive, she must be sick. You can't change that with she has to be sick, because that's saying, oh, she has a responsibility to be sick, which doesn't make sense. So while must has two meanings, have to just really only has one as a model. So both of them can describe responsibility, but must can describe a responsibility and a logical guess. um, Hope that's okay. So moving on. So would, like I said, a past hobby or a past habit, something you used to do but you don't do it anymore. Um, you can also use would to describe a present unreal, like a present imaginative. So I would buy the car, but I can't afford it. So it's used, you can use would when you want to talk about something that you want to do, something that you would do if something was different about your situation. So, for example, I would go to restaurants right now if we haven't been told that we need to stay at home because of the virus. Um, Things like that. And then we've just got a couple more double concept models here. So, um, shall, you can use it as an offer. So, shall I clean this? Shall we do this? Um, People don't usually use shall to offer something a lot. Um, it's not as used in casual conversation. It's more of a formal thing. But you can say, oh, shall we leave? Shall we do this? Or shall we do that? Um, but the second meaning of shall is that it can be something that you legally have to do. So the company shall pay on January 1st. Shall is used in this context to describe something you have to do because you signed a contract to agree to do it. Um, could um, is unreal ability. So there's two meanings to could again. So you can use could to describe something that you would do if you had the ability to. So I could go if I had time. Um, I could um, I could run faster if my I I could run faster if I exercised more, for example, but it's not really an ability I have now. So could can be used to describe something you would do if you had the ability, but right now you don't have the ability. Could also be used to describe a past ability. So she could play the piano, not anymore. Um, Something that you used to be able to do in the past. Um, so can present ability. So you can use can to describe, for example, it's just something you can do now. You know, I can talk. I can walk. I can speak English. All that things. And then you can also use can obviously to ask for permission. So can I have a sweet? Can I go to the bathroom? Um, Things like that. Um, so that's just a quick recap of the single and double meaning models that we went through last weekend. We'll be moving on to models in the past now. So usually, most of the models have the same meaning when you put them in the past. It's just that you have to change the way that you use them in a sentence, and sometimes there can be a slight change to the meaning as well. So, models in the past, you put in the model, you put in have, and then you put in verb in the past participle form. So, verb in the third form. It must have been a difficult decision. They should have invited her to the wedding. So must is the model plus have plus the past participle of be, which is been. They should have invited her to the wedding. So should is the model plus have plus the past participle of invite, which is invited. Um, Now we have some common ways that models can be used in the past, and then their meanings, and then more examples for them. So must have plus past participle. Um, so this is a logical conclusion about something that happened in the past. So if we think back to the chapter we just read, so Mrs. Kingsley didn't come for the important dinner. Something bad must have happened. So again, must is used to make a logical guess about something. I'm looking at the evidence in front of me. The evidence is that Mrs. Kingsley didn't come for the important dinner, and then I'm making a guess. Something bad must have happened. And because it's in the past, I have to put it as must have plus past participle. Um, so, may or might have plus past participle. You can use it to make a guess about something that happened in the past. So the difference in this case between must have and may or might have is that may or might have is more unsure, while must have is more sure. So you use must have when you've made your guess based on evidence, but you use may or might have when you're just guessing about something that you're not sure about. So at this point in the story, we haven't met Chris Lavery yet. We know that Mrs. Kingsley was with Chris Lavery, but we don't know um, what actually happened between them. We haven't even met the character yet. So because we're not sure about our guest, we say Chris Lavery may have or might have done something to her instead of must have done something to her because we're not sure. Okay. So models in the past again. Could have. So it's could have is used to describe a past unreal ability. So this is something that was possible but didn't happen. So for example, Mr. Kingsley could have gone to the police, but he didn't. We know this because in the story we see him talking to the main character, Marlowe, the private detective. So we say Mr. Kingsley could have gone to the police. It was something he could do in the past, but he didn't. And then couldn't have. So couldn't have is used to describe something that is impossible and something that is in the past. So something that was not possible and didn't happen. So in the second page of the story, we learn that Mr. Kingsley went to see Chris Lavery, and Chris Lavery said that he actually hasn't seen Mrs. Kingsley in months. So we could say Mrs. Kingsley couldn't have been with Chris Lavery because one, he's not in the location that she said they would be in, and two, he said that he hasn't seen Mrs. Kingsley in months. And then we have would have. So it's to describe something you wanted to do in the past but you couldn't. So this is really the same thing as a the present unreal we were talking about in here. So present unreal. I would buy the car but I can't afford it. Something you want to do now but you don't have the ability to. Um, and then if you put a have and past participle to it, you're just changing it to the past. So it's to describe something you wanted to do in the past, but you couldn't. So I would have bought the car, but I didn't have money. So it just turns from a present unreal to a past unreal. And then we have should have slash shouldn't have. So um, this is a advice about something that happened in the past. It's usually something you can't change anymore. So when you're talking about something that happened in the past and you want to say, oh, he should have done that or he shouldn't have done that, he should have or shouldn't have. So he should have been honest, he shouldn't have lied to her. But this is talking about something that happened in the past. So he already lied to her and you're just saying, oh, he shouldn't have done that. So, I hope that's not too confusing for everyone. I know it's a little bit difficult, maybe, to understand things in the live stream, but we are just going to do some exercises now, if I can find where I put them. Okay, I probably should have done that. Yeah, I. Oh well. Um, in the past simple. So if you want to use it in the past simple, you would just use it. You would just use it as normal, but without have. So you don't really need to put things back in. Hold on. Um, I don't. I'm not sure if you could use it in the past simple. I'll look into that and then I'll tell say more in the next live stream. But I think it's if you use it if you want to use it in the past, you would have to use model plus have plus past participle. So we gave out some exercises um, in the past weekend before we wrapped everything up. And I'm not sure how many of the people watching this would have gotten those exercises, but we're just going to go through a few of them now until the live stream ends. Uh, so, number one, you've got plenty of time. You needn't hurry. So, needn't is another model that you could use to describe something you don't have to do. Um, Number two, there's a knock at the door. I'm expecting Paul. It must be him. So again, you can see the way that must is being used here. Um, I'm expecting Paul. It must be him. So it's a guess you make based on the evidence in front of you. Um, three, I can't get my phone to work. It must be out of order. Um, Number four, can I ask you a question? So as I'm going through these, just look through the exercises at home and make sure that you're either getting them right or wrong. So five, that was excellent work, but I couldn't do it without you. Six, she can't be 35. She looks older than that. Seven, I needn't go to work on Saturdays. It's my day off. Um, oh, just gonna try and zoom in if that works out. I don't know. Is it cool now? Okay, it's all right. Okay, that's good. So number seven, I think. I needn't go to work on Saturdays. It's my day off. Eight. Tom has given me a letter to post. I mustn't forget to post it. Nine. Anne stayed in bed this morning because she didn't need to go to work. And 10. He could play chess when he was young. Um, So, has anyone else asked any questions so far? No more questions. All right. Then I might just go through the exercises till 20. So, number 11, you can drive a car when you're 18. Number 12, Jack spends the whole day just walking around. He can't have a job. 13, when I was in school, I could do a handstand, but now I'm too old. I can't do one anymore. 14, my mother keeps telling me that we must wash our hands before we sit down at the dinner table. 15, you mustn't forget to turn off the lights when you go to bed. 16, when I was a child, I couldn't understand adults. Now that I'm an adult, I can't understand children. 17, Sally looks sad and worried. She must have a problem with something. 18, can I see your passport, please? 19, he sees very badly, so he must wear glasses all the time. 20, I didn't need to take a taxi because the bus was on time. Number 7, I needn't go to work on Saturdays, it's my day off. So you use needn't to describe something that you don't have a responsibility to do. So it's something that um, you don't need to do. You don't have to do it. It's not that um, it's not that you're banned from doing it. You just don't have to do it. You just don't have an obligation. Um, yeah. Okay. That is answers to the exercises from questions 1 to 20. If there are any more questions about, or if you guys want to um, basically access the stuff that we're putting out, you could go to this website. So it's https colon double slash English lessons lessons with an A dot blogspot dot com, and you can email this address if you have any more questions, or if you want to submit some of your homework for us to grade, for us to mark on feedback. And you can also see that um, you can access past lessons on this website for each classroom. And this is the grammar classroom. So we'll upload all the materials that we distributed um, about last weekend soon. Um, and you can access them through this website. Um, yeah, if there aren't any more questions, then I might just end the stream early. All right, okay. I'll just end the stream then.